Welcome to the video here on evaluating expressions. Our learning target is that students will be able to substitute a number in for a variable to simplify an expression. So I'm going to give you an expression, I'm going to tell you what the variables represent, and then you have to substitute them in and then simplify that expression. Let's do some examples. In our first example, we're going to start with one variable. So the first thing I want you guys to practice is that actual step of substitution. So we're going to substitute in the number that we have for the variable. So in this case, we're going to evaluate 9 divided by a plus 5 when a equals 3. So I'm going to rewrite this problem as 9 divided by 3, substituting the 3 in for the a, plus 5. Now I'm going to simplify this expression here. Order of operations tells me to divide first, so 9 divided by 3 is 3, plus 5 equals 8. So my final answer is 8. Okay, let's look at number 2. 6f when f equals 3. Well, I have a 6, and then the f represents 4, so I'm going to substitute that, but there's no operation there. What is my operation that I'm going to choose? Well, when I say 6f, that means 6 times f. Anytime you have a number, which is the coefficient, that's being multiplied to the variable, thinking back to our vocabulary lesson, that represents multiplication. It's the coefficient is multiplied to that f. So that's going to be 6 times 4, which equals 24. And that's your answer. If you thought the answer was 64, that is incorrect. Okay, it's not 64. You don't just put the 4 in for the f and make the number. You have to multiply that. That stands for multiplication. Okay, I'm going to move on to the next screen. In our next screen, we're going to work with exponents. It's the same idea. We have evaluate it. Evaluate means substitute in and find and simplify to find the answer. That's all that evaluate means. So I'm going to substitute in the x. So that's going to be 5 to the third power minus 13. 5 to the third power, if you can't do that in your head, that means 5 times 5 times 5, which means I have 25 times 5, and 25 times 5 is 125. So it's 125 minus 13, which equals 112. And that's my final answer. First, I substituted in the 5 for the x. Then I simplified the expression to find my final answer. Okay, let's move on to our next example. In our next example, we have multiple variables. All you're going to do in multiple variables is plug in what each variable represents. So I have 6a minus 3 plus 2b. That's going to be 6 times a represents 3. 6 times 3 minus 3 plus 2 times b represents 5. 2 times 5. Notice how I rewrote my expression just the exact same way they have in the original one, except instead of using the variables, I substituted them in with the numbers that they represent. Then I'm going to go through my order of operations. I multiply before I add or subtract, so that's going to be 18 minus 3 plus multiply to get 10. Now, adding or subtracting, don't forget that works left to right. They are equal, so whatever one comes first, left to right. Since the subtraction is first, I'm going to do that. That's 15 plus 10, and then finally I'm going to add those to get 25. Okay, and that's how you substitute in numbers for variables when working with expressions. If you have any questions, go ahead and review this video. Otherwise, we'll see you guys tomorrow.